Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. I'm Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And our associate producer, Oliver Green, back in the production nook.
Hello.
And in this episode, we're going to kind of continue with our holiday theme, our Christmas theme for this month. And we're going to talk about the 5 best things to do at Walt Disney World for Christmas. This is not going to be in any particular order because all these things are really pretty cool. So it would be kind of hard for us to put them in any kind of better or worse scenario. Although we're going to do worse things to do at Walt Disney World for Christmas next week. So that's something you can look forward to. But these are things that, again, as I said in the last episode, veterans, people who are, Walt Disney World experts are going to know this stuff. So if you're not sure what to do, if you're coming to Disney for the Christmas season this year and you're not sure what to do, here are some suggestions. First thing I'm going to start off with is my personal favorite thing. This is the thing I do every single year without fail, something my mom and I do. It's a Christmas tradition for us, and that's the Candlelight Processional dinner package. Not just the Candlelight Processional, but the dinner package. You want the dinner package. Unfortunately, if you want to make sure you have a seat, you need the dinner package. And you can do the dinner package for either lunch or dinner. And I think all the restaurants at Epcot participate. And the prices are going to range between $39 and $76 per person, depending on whether it's lunch or dinner and depending on the restaurant. So I think Beer Garden for lunch is like $36. Mm-hmm. So you have options there, less expensive options if you don't want to spend, a ridiculous amount of money. But it does guarantee you seating for the Candlelight Processional, which is they have a celebrity narrator come in. You can have Whoopi Goldberg, Neil Patrick Harris, Edward James Olmos, Jodie Benson from The Little Mermaid. They have these celebrity narrators come in and read the story of Christmas it's the biblical story of Christmas from the book of Matthew, if I'm remembering correctly. And they're joined by a large choir of, some of them are Disney cast members, but a lot of area high schools send in their choir departments to join in. And it's a coveted role. It's people really get intense about getting a chance to perform for the Candlelight Processional, and they do a lot of traditional Christmas carols, and it is absolutely brilliant. And it's not Christmas for me without it.
Last year was my first year doing it, and I was fortunate enough seeing Neil Patrick Harris, and it was amazing. It was just it puts you in the Christmas spirit, and it's not like a do not miss if you're going to be here during the Christmas season for me. So I totally agree with this. I will say, I think the dining package is definitely worth it because it's a long line if you don't get it. So that dining package portion of this, getting that is a huge portion of making this one of the better things.
Right. Dining package people get first or let in first to the American Gardens Theater where this is held. Mm-hmm. And then only when they're all seated do they open up the standby line. And
there's a couple good things to that, in that the front is covered, so if it happens to rain, you have some protection from the rain. Also, the further back you are, there's a likelihood there's some trees that are planted actually throughout in the back. They're thin little trees, but still, if you sit behind directly like a tree, it's not the best view.
Yeah, it's not a great view. So and now Oliver, have you done the Candlelight?
I've not. No, I've not at all. But I've known people that have took part in the Candlelight. I've known cast members that have sung in the choirs behind, and they've spoke so highly of it. And anyone that's actually ever attended it, they've always
you don't
enjoyed it
hear
immensely.
negative reviews about this.
No, you
it's
don't.
It's been going on for years. There's a reason why it's always been there. I've always felt that the dinner package thing was a little bit of a scam in terms of you really need to do the dinner package unless you want to spend a lot of time waiting.
Yeah, because that's always the thing that's put me off in the past. I wasn't even aware that you could do a dinner package, or I was aware you could do a dinner package. I didn't realize it was so diverse. Like you can dine, there's cheaper options to dine at if you wanted to do the package.
Garden
as
Grill,
so.
over at the Land Pavilion.
If it's open to that many restaurants, though, how much leftover standby seating do they actually have?
I think it just depends on the day and the time, because there's multiple shows. I think there are 2 shows a night.
Yep, and I can tell you, so I stood in the line last year, and you're waiting for hours, and what they do is, I don't know, there's a certain amount of people that show up after who got reservations, and then not all people make it into the first show, and you just kind of have to cross your fingers, and if you don't, you have to continue to stay in line, and then wait until the next one, and then after that, there's no guarantee that if you're waiting at the very end of the line that you're going to make it in that
You
last
could
show.
spend hours waiting in line and not see the show. Not from a seat anyway. You might watch it from the line, but you may not. So if you really want to make sure you see this, dinner package is the way to go. The other thing that is a do not miss, number 2 on the list of do not miss for the Christmas season, is another fairly expensive option, but really well worth it. And that's Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And this goes on every year, starts in July and proceeds on through the holidays. And this year, it's expensive. It's always expensive. It's more expensive this year. $86 per person, going up to $99 depending on when you go. The closer you get to Christmas, the more expensive it gets. If you're an annual pass holder, I believe it's a discount of $79 on select nights.
Select nights, mostly in November, and the other one's December 1st.
Yeah. But all that being said, what we recommend to people is that you do one less day on your Park Hopper Pass and do this, because not only do you get, the holiday fireworks, the tree lighting ceremony, you get to see the Christmas parade. It's the same parade basically that you see on television Christmas Day. And plus you have there's like cookies and hot chocolate are being given out throughout the park. It's really cool. And
short lines.
The short lines for the rides, that is the big draw here. Obviously the Christmas stuff is the big draw, but you have a much smaller crowd. And this year, that they're discounting to annual pass holders tells me they're not expecting to fill the parks during the early part of the season. So I think the lines are usually really good.
5-10 minutes. Mine Train, of course, will still, obviously not the hour and a half that it is during normal hours, but that's still a line that will see a half hour. But for Mine Train, that's still really good. And even on certain nights, I'm sure it goes down to even lower than that. But.
So we recommend that people replace this with the Magic Kingdom Day they would have done on their Park Hopper. Mm-hmm. And so it's takes a little bit of the sting out of the price, and you get all these extra perks too. Plus, it's just really cool being in the Magic Kingdom at night. And
yeah, it's my favorite party. A lot of people love the Halloween party, but I love the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Yeah. And yeah, like Pete said, just spend a day at the pool and go to Disney Springs and before the party, and then head over there, and that's a good day to spend.
See, and I also consider, especially if you're going to be in the park on Christmas Day, it's a hard reservation to get, but even if you're going to do the Christmas party, I recommend dinner at Liberty Tree Tavern as my other thing that you should do as part of the holiday season. I'm gonna amend this and say do it as part of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Because there's just something about that turkey and pot roast and cranberries, and it's all just like a holiday meal, and it kind of fits in. So
ties it all together.
I tend, whenever possible, if I think to book it far enough in advance, as I tend to do the Christmas party last minute. If I can get a reservation at Liberty Tree Tavern before the party starts or very early in the party, I don't want to miss anything. I always do that. That's something that is one of my must-dos along with the Christmas party itself.
I was fortunate enough I had it for Thanksgiving, which is obviously not the Christmas season, but it is that holiday meal that you really can set you in the mood for the party.
Yeah. Now, something that doesn't cost any money that you can do, just a great thing to do at Disney World for the holidays. If you're here after Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving and New Year's, going around to the deluxe resorts to check out the different displays that they have set up. They do a lot of really creative things. For example, we talked about last week the Grand Floridian doing the gingerbread house. But they do things in all of the deluxe resorts. So you'll find different, displays made of chocolate and different types of decorations at all of them, at all the deluxe resorts. Now, that's not to say that the moderates and the values don't decorate for Christmas. They do. It's typical Christmas decorations. They're not doing big displays.
Yeah.
They're not doing, those are really limited to the deluxe resorts. And I will tell you, the Contemporary, the Grand Floridian, the Boardwalk, the Beach Club are not to be missed. They're usually not to be missed. Yacht Club is touch and go. Swan Dolphin does some really great stuff as well. That should be, you can just take a day and, park at the Boardwalk and just go all around Crescent Lake to all those resorts and check them out. You can do the same thing, parking at the Poly or Transportation and Ticket Center, and then taking the monorail and going around the loop. Heading over to Wilderness Lodge is they do some really cool stuff at Wilderness Lodge as well. So, what I like to do if I'm going to make a day out of doing resort tours, I'll go ahead and I'll book restaurants at different points. So I'll book something for lunch, either breakfast and lunch or lunch and dinner, and then just kind of make it a day. And I'll take, some friends or my family or whatever, and go around and do that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a really good free option. And I know if you're the type of person that kind of wants to resort hop and see the other hotels, this is a good, addition to not only just getting to tour those hotels, but actually then getting the Christmassy feel to it.
Yeah, I've got to just say, out of all of the, the resorts do a great job. The Grand Floridian does.
It's over the top.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So I grew up in a cold climate. I'm sure you're all aware. And Christmas for me was always it was cold outside. That's the way it was. And Christmases in Florida, they're great. I've had one now here, and it was fun, but it's different. It's not the same. When I walk into the Grand Floridian, it captures that essence of Christmas I felt as a child almost. It does such a good job of that.
That's a good point. I think in Florida, when it's warm here and you see the palm trees outside, it doesn't really quite have that Northeast where I grew up, or where me and Pete grew up, and I'm sure in the UK that cold Christmassy feel that it's harder for me here.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. But I've been here 19 years. I'm okay with it.
For me, it's still difficult, and I think, but going into these resorts,
but no one cares about you.
Well, that might be true. But no, going into these resorts.
Poor Steve.
I care, Steve.
Going into these resorts and having that Christmassy feel is really nice.
No, it is. It's very nice.
It is. And it's a fun thing to do. It's a fun way to spend a day if you have an extra day that you don't have a ticket for, or a theme park ticket for, if you just want to kind of kill a day. It's a great way to do it, and a great way to see the resorts too if you haven't seen them. So
I always recommend, if you're coming out of Magic Kingdom and it's not too late, hop on, especially if it's dark, because there's something. It's even more special when it's it's dark outside. Hop on the resort monorail instead of hopping on the express monorail on your way back, and just stop off at the Grand Floridian for 20-30 minutes and just check it out, because it's a nice, easy way of doing it. You don't have to go out of your way. That's my top tip for checking out the resorts at the time of year, the festive time of year.
Last but certainly not least, we probably should have done this as part of the Christmas party. The Jingle Cruise at Magic Kingdom. Jungle Cruise does a holiday overlay where they put Christmas decorations and change up the storyline and add some new jokes. And so it kind of becomes a slightly different attraction for the holidays. Started doing it a couple of years ago, became wildly popular. It's a fan favorite. It is definitely one of those things not to be missed.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think the Jungle Cruise ride depends on how well and how into it your skipper is that day, or if they're into their job at all.
Yeah.
And when they get a new life in doing something different in the Jingle Cruise.
They get excited.
They get excited, and that excitement goes to the guests, and it's a whole better experience, because when they're doing the Jungle Cruise for the rest of the year, they're doing the same spiel over and over and over again. And that's not to say that there's a lot of cast members that make do with that, and they still do a really great job for the regular Jungle Cruise. But there is something about the Jingle Cruise that gives them that extra life and excitement because it is different.
And I think that's true in general of the cast members working the Christmas party. And, you know, I've noticed that with any of the specialty parties at the Magic Kingdom in particular, that the cast members are just so into it and they're so excited about it. And I think that's why it's a change. It's something different.
Yeah, I remember last Christmas party, we had a good cast member experience after good cast member experience, and halfway through the party, I think you turned to me and you said, "This feels like Disneyland," like the cast member experience. And so, and that's a big compliment. If you don't know, the guest experience at Disneyland is really, really good.
It's amazing. It's what Disney World should be, what Disney World used to be and isn't anymore. Disneyland still does it that way. It's still the, you know, that higher level of Disney service that we all come to expect, want, especially those of us that have been doing this for a while. So there are our 5 best things to do at Walt Disney World for the Christmas holidays this year. The Candlelight Processional dinner package, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, tour the resorts, check out the Liberty Tree Tavern, and the Jingle Cruise at the Magic Kingdom. So that will do it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you again next week with another edition of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Have a great week, everybody.